Hey, this is this this, and I'm going to respond to a comment, I guess left by Code Bean and a couple other people who are asking me, do I believe that if Apple is into gaming now as well, what they were in the past? And well, first of all, let's just get it out of the way. As we all know, Apple didn't give a flying fuck about gaming in the past, and it still doesn't. And it's pretty funny about that because Apple had a simple policy about games on their platform on the Mac OS, on any OS, and that was if you can make the game, just make it. Unlike when Valve, a long, long time ago, says that Apple was giving them the runaround, which turned out to be a complete lie. Apple never really cared, and of course, Steam is now on Mac, and pretty much close to almost all the Valve games are on Mac. And it turns out that Apple didn't give a shit. They didn't give a shit in the past, and they didn't give a shit now, and they still don't give a shit. And that's been their simple policy. If you can make it for our platform, then make it. I mean, they would have stopped Adobe from making all their Final Cut Pros for Mac if they did. And of course, my problem with Sam and HT Shadow right now is not that they're saying, "Oh, the Apple is killing the other handhelds." That's not my problem. My problem is quite simply that they don't want to or can't understand that Apple in the past hasn't or ever given a shit about fucking games on any of their platforms. I mean, yeah, they had the Apple Pippin, but did Apple have any games that came out for the Pippin that was developed from Apple? No. In fact, Apple's library of games that came out for the Pippin that was distributed from Apple was zero. And and when you look at the commercial, I mean, or when you do a search for the Apple Pippin and you look at the videos and introductions, they basically showed it off as a multimedia machine rather than a gaming platform, which is funny because that's what they run with the the Apple TV, which is a joke. I mean, let's face it, the Apple TV is a complete other joke because all you can do is just run media on there. I mean, and yes, I said that the Apple looked at their iOS as a business platform. What I meant was they looked at their iOS as a media device, just like I mean, all you have to do is look at the Apple TV and see that it it has no hard drive, and all you can do is just stream a bunch of media that you can get on every other device. And this also includes the Xbox Live. And here's the shitty part. All you really need to do is just, if you have an iPad, just get that $40 HDMI out cord that goes on the bottom of the of all the iOS devices, and you can watch all your digital medias on there, and even view all of your iTunes libraries on the TV set, which kind of makes you wonder why the fuck was the Apple TV even invented. I mean, yeah, you can even do it with the iPhone and the iPod Touch. So, and yeah, they're like saying, "Well, I can run my iTunes libraries." Well, just get that fucking HDMI out, and you won't need to go and pay extra money for an Apple TV and do the whole AirPlay and crap because you can already run all the iOS devices on your television now. Yes, it's a $40 cable connector, which is ungodly expensive, but there you go. And not only that, Netflix, which is on Apple TV, is on every other device. I mean, seriously, it's on Xbox 360, PS3, even the Nintendo Wii has it. And and yeah, all the iOS devices have Netflix too. So what is the point of having something on there that can run a media? I mean, you say you can run all your iTunes media on there when there are clearly two ways. I mean, the Mini Mac can run all your iTunes media, and or just buy an iPhone and then get the $40 cable. Yes, I know it's expensive, but there you go. So you don't even need the Apple TV anymore. It's all the Apple TV is just half a console that just streams media and photos and nothing else. I mean, you can't even run the new Unreal Engine on the thing. So what's the point? And it also has a shitty GPU, anyways. Or I don't even think it has a GPU. But if Apple's going to be serious about their games or whatever, they're going to have to do a little bit more than just, I don't know, put up a group of people to rate the fucking games that go on their iPod Touch. I mean, on their iOSs. I mean, yeah, I knew from the start that if Apple allowed applications to be installed on their iOS devices, or back then it was just the iPhone and the iPod Touch, that it would start it out. I mean, when you look, I mean, it would explode into this. And when you look at the original iPod Touch, especially the iPod Touch, because it all you could do was just run applications, put up a few notes, check maps, and check your stocks, and or listen to your MP3s and video, and that was pretty much it. You couldn't run any real applications on there until people started jailbreaking it. And of course, people didn't jailbreak the original iPod Touch because it didn't have a speaker. So, that thing was practically almost near useless. And yes, I owned the first generation iPod Touch. But even I knew that it was going to explode. And of course, the second generation, they finally put a speaker on there. And then, and here's the thing that HD Shadow, Samuel Tech Geek, and the rest of those people who are like, well, the iPod, I mean, the iOS has got the greatest platform of all time, and Apple has really been doing the best job they've ever have. First of all, understand that Game Center on the iOS devices is an afterthought that Apple never really intended on putting any applications up there like that. The only reason why Game Center was put up there was a couple of things. One of which was that the developers got mad because OpenFont or Faint or whatever it's called and Plus Plus were basically digging in and doing all these things that Apple should have been doing for years, and Apple wouldn't stop them. They just said, "Oh well, that's just Open Faint," and they're. Let me just say that Open Faint and I think Plus Plus had was doing all the things that were practically an Xbox Live. It was just a cheaper version, and people were connecting their games to them and all that other shit. And Apple didn't have Game Center until recently, and they were basically just digging in into what Apple should have done. And even then, Apple said, "No, no, no, no. You guys just develop whatever you want, and we'll just put it through our so-called checks and balances, and we'll pretty much okay it." Basically, what it meant was that they didn't really check the games. They just said, if it's porn, it's not going to be put up. It's a simple rule. And they did it. Everybody could just put whatever game on there. GameLoft put a shitload of games on there. But what happened was that Apple realized that there was a fuckloads of there was more game applications than there were of media and business and all this other shit games, and they had completely lost all control. They were not in control of their own gaming departments. OpenFaint was having free deals, and they still do. OpenFaint has like a game, a free game a day that you can download on the iOS devices, which has nothing to do with Apple. So Apple was not in control, and Apple realized they had to fucking fix this, and they just popped up Game Center to make the developers happy, And all the major developers ran straight to Game Center, of course, and then they had the and guess what? OpenFane is still having a free game a day. By the way, you can they're shitty games, but you can still download a free game a day onto the iOS devices, which is making Apple lose still even more control. And yes, Apple put up a group of people up there to rate the games and to look at all the games, but technically, I'll have to say that Apple still hasn't quite understand that they have a huge ass gaming platform here that has destroyed two major uh, gaming platformers or handhelds, and they still have not yet control of what the fuck they're doing with it. And until that happens, you know, Apple just needs to understand they got to take these games more seriously now. It's not like back in the past where they just say, "I'll just come up with whatever," and we're not going to stop you or anything like that. Just let it go. And that policy isn't working anymore, and they're losing control of their own platforms. And I think they're slowly beginning to come to this understanding, but I don't know. And there's never going to be a actual console. We're instead going to get another fucking Apple TV, by the way, with another revision bullshit to it that does nothing but play media. And why Google has been rumored to probably invent their own console. Yeah, they're rumored. And I actually believe the Google rumor more, mainly because I don't know. There are some serious talks about them buying out their own gaming developing company and possibly trying to hand out their own console. And that's scary if they do because they would possibly end up being a real threat to Microsoft. I mean, Microsoft's pretty much half their most of their Xbox Live is based under Google software, and pretty much Google knows Xbox Live down pat, and so yeah, that's a scary thought. But I believe Google coming out with a console more than coming out with a gaming console and going into the gaming developing business over Apple any day because Apple, we're just going to get another fucking Apple TV. And until I see something that to me that says Apple's going to take gaming in seriously and not lose so much control of their own fucking gaming platform where other people are doing deals on applications that they should be doing. I'm just going to have to hold out on Apple. I mean, yes, the iPod Touch is a great device and it's great for gaming, but Apple just isn't into the whole serious thing. And in people who think that, Game Center is equal to that of Xbox Live, Game Center is an afterthought. I mean, yes, it's a lot like Xbox Live, but Sam, just understand Game Center is still an afterthought no matter what. And those people that are all rating games and stuff, that's still not enough. I'm sorry. See you guys later.